So next week we'll start with the Delta Lake, but today what we'll do, we'll understand JSON, how to read a JSON file, then what is a complex JSON and a complex data types. Okay, so how to read and write a JSON file format. Okay, then what is complex JSON and what is multi option and what are the complex data types. So today just we'll focus on the JSON, how to read and write a JSON formats. Then what is a complex JSON and what is a multi-row or you can say multi-line, okay, multi-line option. Then what are the complex data types? So that will address today. First we'll start with the simple JSON, then we'll start with the complex JSON. So let's go to the notebook. So we already created a JSON format. Let's understand that. That's a simple JSON, single row JSON. Okay, those are single row JSON we created here. Even a table also we created. Even file also we created as. Go to the output where we created a JSON file. So let me read the files. So if you go to tables, where we created a JSON format, population underscore JSON. So here you can find this JSON table we created in this location, and you can find the JSON file. We'll verify the JSON file. It's a single line JSON file. You can say single row JSON file. Let's copy this path. Right, we can use this with the file name. Okay, this is the JSON data. So what is exactly a single line JSON and what is a multi-line JSON? Okay, single line JSON or you can say multi-line JSON. So any row which is starting in the same line and ending in the same line. Look at this is row starting in the same line and ending in the same line. Okay, means the open brackets and the close brackets. JSON mainly open brackets, close brackets spaces, it will work. It's called curly brackets will work. So if it is starting in the same line, ending in the same line, we'll call it a single line JSON. Okay. But there are some files which starts in one line, ends in another line. That is multi-line JSON or you can say complex JSON. So that also will understand. Similarly, we created here also. Go to this location. Let's copy this relative path. So here we have a file. This is the employee data where we created yesterday. That's the employee data where you can see starting here and the ending here. This is also single line JSON. If the row starting in the same line, ending in the same line, we'll call it a single line JSON. Okay. Even I'll show you the multi-line also. So consider if you want to read this JSON. So how to use read API. So we can go and create a data frame reading a JSON format. So we can use a Spark reader JSON. JSON API is available. Okay. And you can specify the file name or even folder also. If the folder is having only JSON files, then it will read. Then let's display this. Now we see here all the columns, the data also we can see. So when it comes to CSV header will be there and the rows will be there like a tabular format. Okay. But JSON has semi-structured data. JSON is semi-structured data means where you can find the data in a tag spaces like this. Tag spaces. Okay. Similarly, here also you see here. But in a JSON, the keys always should be in a double quotes, means a string. Always the columns will be a string. Okay, that is mandatory. It won't allow direct values. Key and value. Value may be any type. That may be integer, that may be a string, that may be any other type. It will allow. Okay, but always remember the key should be a string. The key is nothing but a column. Is nothing but column. So it will identify the column names. Then whatever it is there in a double quotes, it will treat as a string. If it is not a string, then other data type. Based on the values, it will understand that JSON. Okay. So even without infer schema, we see integer data types and string data types. So because of that data. Similarly, if we go and read this file also, these all are there in a double quotes. Let's go and read this file as well. Spark.read.json. Now we see here. So if you look at here, this is a column name, and this is also column name, this is also column. Actually, values are become a columns here because it's a tax basis. So let's go and verify here. If you look at this is one column, this is one column, and this is another column. Key value pair. Because the data itself, maybe we created a data file. That time we created this table without header. Without header means it's taken as one row, then row become a columns here. That's why you see here double quotes key. A is the key, Aruba is key, and the 180 is the key. That's why key and the value, but values are different here. Values are different. So key always should be in a double quotes. Key always should be in a double quotes. Based on that keys, it will display the columns. Okay, based on that keys, it will create a because JSON is always a key value pair. But this is semi-structured data, but not a complex JSON. So semi-structured data, but it's not a complex JSON. This is simple JSON. Okay, what is complex JSON? That also will understand. A simple JSON, you can go and read and create a data frame. On top of that, you can apply any transformations. Okay, that is possible. Then we need to understand the complex JSON. We need to understand the complex JSON. So I'll share you this one Python notebook. I'll import here now. I'll import notebook. I'll share you that after the session. For JSON, I created a separate notebook and we'll understand the complex JSON. Okay. The complex JSON, when it comes to here, if you look at this JSON file, this is the curly brackets starting here and ending in another line, like here. Okay. This is starting here, ending here. So that's called multi-row. It's a multi-line JSON. Multi-line JSON means a row can start in one line and end in another line. Let's create this data file. This lakehouse is not available. Let me remove this lakehouse. Attach lakehouse. So whenever we import, right? So import, it will have existing history, existing state. So remove that old lakehouse and attach your lakehouse. Okay. So now here, what we'll do, we'll create a separate folder. Then we'll populate this data. So inside of files, it will create a JSON folder. Then it will create a file. So put as a command where we can create a data file. Okay. Then we'll see that data file is created or not. So data file is created. Normally, whenever we read without an option, additional option. Spark.read.json. If it is simple JSON, directly you can read. If it is a complex JSON, multi-line JSON, we have to specify the multi-line option. Otherwise, it will throw you that bad data. As there is another column is dynamically, it will create. Automatically, it will create a corrupt record. It's treating as a bad data. Because how JSON will understand, if the row is starting in the same line, ending in the same line, it will read as that row valid row. Otherwise, it will read as invalid row. Okay. Otherwise, it will read as invalid row. So that scenario, what we need to do, we need to use option multi-line. It means the JSON is a multi-line JSON. It's not a single line JSON. So then it will create that records like this. Multiple columns are there. Multiple columns are there. Even nulls also is there. Means like in location and name, these two columns are there. Values, like these two columns are having values. But if you look at this, goods is having again inside that one column, within that another column. Even the satellites also, one row is having multiple values. This kind of data type will called as array data type. Array means open and close with the square brackets will called as array data type. List are array data type. One column, normally the row will have a one value. If you have multiple values, that should be an array. Okay. That is only is possible, can keep multiple values, comma separated. That's called list or array data type. Even we can verify print a schema. We can see here, name and the location is a string data type, but satellites is an array data type because it's having a multiple values. And the first column, which we look at the goods, okay, it is having one column. Within that, again, multiple columns are there. So these kind of data types, again, one column, within that another column. So struct data type. In that column can have a multiple values, an array. You see here, goods is a struct data type. Within that, it is having a multiple columns. One column is customers, one column is orders. Customer is also an array data type. Orders also an array data type. Similarly, order ID, again, this is having inside that array, again, struct data type is there. It is having a multiple columns. In that, two are long and double column. One is a struct column. Again, within that, again, another column is order items. Again, that is an array. Inside array, again, multiple columns are there, which is item name, item quantity. So these kind of data. Okay. So complex data types are complex JSON. If data file is having multiple lines. Okay. Mean each row starting in one line and ending in another line. We'll call it a or multi-line JSON. And it can have complex data types. So what are the complex data types? So struct. Okay. So struct array. Struct means one column can have another column or another array type. Okay. Array. One row can have multiple values or multiple columns. One row can have a multiple values, or you can say multiple columns also possible. That's called struct can have a one column or multiple columns or array. So means struct can have array can have a struct. So that is possible. These data types will called as complex data types. When you can say this, mainly when you are working with the JSON, mainly API's data. When you are working with the API, we can see this complex data types. So that's why when you see this print schema, you see here struct data type. Struct is having array. Another data type is another array. This array is having again struct. That struct is having another struct. That struct is having another array. That array is having another struct. Okay. But how to flatten? How to flatten? Flatten means converting semi-structured to structured format. So your explode function is available for running. But when we will use the explode function, when we will use a dot. Dot means a column name dot, another column. So if you have a multiple columns, how to convert the complex JSON to normal JSON? You can say complex data types to structured data types. So for array data types, we can use explode. For struct data types, we can use main column dot child column. Then that column dot grandchild. Always we will use, consider column 1 is having another column, column 2 is having another column, column 3, like this. Dot. We will use a dot for a struct data type. For array data type, we'll use explode. Explode, or you can say explode outer. Explode. Explode outer for nulls. So ignoring nulls, you can use explode. Considering nulls, we can use explode outer. Okay. Like we have a nulls also in this data set. So nulls is there. If you don't want this nulls, then use explode. Otherwise, use explode outer. So goods struct data type. Inside that it is customers and orders. Satellite is array data type. So how to explode first level? First level means we can create another data frame. df1. So first we'll select name and the location. Name, comma, location. These are normal data types. Another one is goods. Goods is having two columns, customers and orders. Goods dot customers. Goods dot goods dot customers, goods dot orders. If it is struct data type, we have to select like this, parent and child. But we need to create alias name, right? So you can use a call function. Then you can use alias. We are using a select statement. Okay, select will allow. Even you can use a select expression also. Okay. Goods underscore customers. Goods underscore. Then we have another column is satellites. It's an array. Array means we can use explode. Explode is the array data type. So we can use the column name as satellites, alias name. I'll use the same name. Explode is a function, directly you can use alias name. Call is a function, you can use alias name. So we need to import those functions. Okay, we can import those functions. If you want to write in a multiple lines, just open brackets here. Display df1. I'll show you the output first. Then we'll extend further level. From Pyspark dot SQL dot functions. We are importing two functions. One is explode, another one is call functions. Now you see here, company name is perfectly, it is working. Location is working, and the satellite also. When you look at the previous output, you see the satellites. So here it is a two rows, two values in a one row, Bay Area and Shanghai. Now it became a two rows separated, Bay Area, Shanghai. But the null values we are not getting because we used explode. If you are looking for null values, also use explode outer. Explode outer if you use, then you will get a null values also. Now you see here, the null values also we can see here. So now this customers an array. Then goods, again, it is having a three more columns: order ID, order total, shipped. Okay. So again, the next level we need to do that. You can create a data frame 2, then select from data frame 1. Sorry. Star means you can choose all the columns, or if you want to select required columns, you can select required columns like this. Name, location, whatever the proper structure. Now, satellite sales proper structure. Then goods underscore customer. We can use explode. Goods underscore customers. Explode or explode out. Null is there, you use explode outer. Otherwise, null record will be ignored. Can create alias name. Whatever we cover transformations we are using, select is a transformation, then selecting columns, just we are using a functions. Okay. So then explode. Explode means what will happen, that goods customers will be converted into multiple rows. So this will be a 3 rows, 6 plus 2 rows, 6 plus 2, 8, 9, 10. Total 10 rows will come. Okay. And another one is this goods underscore, maybe we'll write in another multiple lines. Open the brackets. Close the brackets here. Okay. So now we can do one column, within that another column is there. So main column dot another column. So we'll use a call function. Goods underscore customer, orders dot order ID. Okay. Then you can create alias name. Goods underscore orders underscore order ID. Okay. Three columns are there. So we'll use this is order total. Shipped. Shipped again, it's an array column. But we already using explode here. We can't use another explode. Only one explode per statement. Okay. You can't use more than one explode. Only one explode per statement it will. But you can create a number of data frames. Now you can go and display the data. Remove this extra comma is there. Let's verify where it is starting. Here it is starting. And then select is starting here. And we should close here. Now we see here. Now goods customers, we have a proper data. Now we have 10 rows, you see. Then this also an array. This also an array. Now this also an array. Array means we can use the explode outer. Array means we can use explode outer. So we can go and use explode on this, and use explode on this, then use explode outer on this. One column within that another column, before that array is there. Square brackets, whenever you see square bracket, that is an array data type. Always remember square brackets, square brackets, square brackets. Now you can create another data frame. From data frame to select. Star means all columns you can select. Okay, then you can use explode. Outer nulls are there, so explode outer. So what's the column name? Goods underscore orders underscore order ID. So after that, if you don't want this column, you can create the same column here. Okay. You're selecting your previous columns, star. So whenever you use a star, now you see this is a old column. So we can delete this column. Anyway, we already have an extracted column here. We can drop. Okay. And the ID cell created this column as earlier said. Drop this. After immediately I'll delete that. Why we are selecting anyway all the columns. Now this is now we can apply on this. Only one explode you can apply per statement. Okay. You can create a number of data frames. Spark is lately evaluated. A number of data frames you can create. Now this is orders, order, total. So now you can see we have only one this one. Ship. Now this one is again multiple columns are there. We can extract order items. In the order items, again you see this item name, item quantity. Okay, item name, item quantity. So you can select that. One is you can use explode on top of that. Dot order items. Order items is only one column, but inside that you have a array. Inside that in an array. Okay. Order. You can create alias name here. Goods underscore order items. See, if you don't need this column, we can delete that column. Anyway, we are extracting that. See here. Okay. So we can go and drop that column. You can create another data frame. Select star. Star means existing columns it will select. Then item dot item name. So we can create alias name. Goods underscore orders underscore item name. This is one column. Okay. Another column is same thing we can select. Item quantity. Then we don't need this column. Drop. Now you can see proper formatted data. Name, location, satellites, goods and underscore customers, and goods order ID. Then goods order totals. Then item name, item quantity. So actually we got see how many rows it is. We got just 5 rows. It's the four rows, including null is 4 rows because we have a location. 4 rows become a how many rows? Properly structured now. Semi-structured to structure. 128 rows. Okay. So we converted semi-structured to structured format. How we did? Wherever you have array data type, use explode or explode outer. Explode outer we will use if it is having nulls. If you want nulls also. Then if you have a struct data type, so you can use main column dot another column. Like this is struct data type, main column dot subcolumn, main column dot subcolumn, main column dot subcolumn, main column dot. So these many ways which this is the types. So goods we extracted goods dot customers, goods dot orders. Then orders an array, customers also array. We on top of that. But explode only one explode you can use per statement. So that's why we return a multiple here. Why we use the explode every statement? Because only one explode it will allow, more than one it won't allow. But anyway, data frames are just logical, doesn't store any data. Finally, whenever you use this action, it will give you the return value, okay? Because the data frame doesn't store any data. Data frame doesn't store any data. So this is about a complex JSON. Anyway, this notebook already written similar things. Like we can use explode if we don't want nulls. If you want the nulls, use explode outer. Okay. Explode outer for nulls. Ignoring nulls means use explode. If you don't have nulls, use explode. If you have nulls, want nulls, then use explode outer. So structured to semi-structured. So here I ignore the nulls. That's why we see less records. No nulls are there. But if you are looking for the nulls, then including the nulls, you will see the more records here. Okay. That's the difference between explode and explode outer. Explode outer, if one column is having a null, then it will remove that entire row. If you don't want that row, then use explode only. Otherwise, use explode outer. Use explode outer. So this way, which we can go and convert semi-structured to structured format. Semi-structured to structured format. Even other examples also like this. So multi-line. So you can go and create a data file. Then use a multi-line option. Then convert semi-structured to structured format. This is an array data type. This is a dictionary key value pair. This is a normal data types. Okay. If you have a straight, if you have a single line JSON means, like if you go and create, so whenever we read any file, this file is created. Let's verify the error, why it is throwing error. Name does not exist. Instead, choose another name. Rename the existing column. You see here, what is this? Keys, dictionary. If you understand the core Python, dictionary should not keep the duplicate keys. In the same row, this is also one, and this is also one. Dictionary won't allow duplicate column names. Another row you can have it, but the same row, dictionary always the key should be unique. This key should be unique. Okay. Let me remove this. Let me remove this. Now we can see this data, but a corrupt record. So corrupt record means you can go and use option multi-line. Even you can use an option, then you will see the proper data. See that? So to avoid errors, use a multi-line show. Use multi-line show option. Then we can avoid these errors. We can avoid these errors. Or we can declare a schema, then we can use that schema. Like in CSV also we use the schema, so you can declare the schema. What are the columns and data types? But a multi-line true is mandatory. The schema is for columns and data type specification. Columns and data type specification. Okay. Similarly, other JSONs also. Just I've given multiple examples on the JSON. Okay. So this is a complex JSON. Complex JSON means where you will have a normal data types like a string, integer, date. Like if you go and verify the Spark data type, Spark supports different data types, numeric data types, string data types. Similarly, we have a complex data types here. Complex data type means array, map, struct. So it will have a fields information. Array means values, multiple values in a Python list or a tuple list only. So where it will have one column within that another column, one value it is having a multiple values, means one row will have a multiple values. So those data types will called as complex data. These are standard data types, which is structured data types. Wherever you see a binary, this is unstructured data type. Storing images, videos, that is binary data. Remaining all are structured data types, like integer, date, string. Like in numeric, we have a multiple integer, long, float, double, decimal. Okay. String also we have a string varchar, char, boolean data type, date and date time data type, timestamp, the date data type. These are structured data types. Only the binary is unstructured. Semi-structured means a complex data types. This semi-structured means a complex data types. So whatever we saw now, those are complex data types. When you use the print schema, you see struct data type, array, struct, array, struct. So this is about complex JSON. So how to read a complex JSON, how to convert semi-structured to structured format. So remember the multi-line option, use a multi-line option, then read each column, If it is array data type, use explode or explode outer. If it is array data type, use explode or explode outer. If it is struct data type, so I already mentioned here. If it is array data type, for array data type, we can use explode or explode outer for if any nulls. Okay, for outer for the nulls. But struct data types, use main column dot child column. Means one column is having another column. Consider we selected goods is a column which is having a order ID. Goods is a column which is having a order total. Goods is having another column called shipped. Then again we created those columns. Again that columns also is having another columns. These are array data types. Array data types we use explode outer. Okay. Explode or explode outer only one function will allow at a time. More than one function you can't use in each select. But you can have another select. Again, after exploding that, again we see again one column with that another two more columns. This is goods order items, item name, item quantity. So one column within that another column means this way which we can go and plot running data or converting semi-structured to structured format. So if anyone asks you how to flat run the data means the same concept. So the semi-structured, we converted into structured format. If you go and display this data frame, output will be your structured format. Okay, we got a semi-structured. This is semi-structured. That we converted into structured format. That we converted into structured format. So only the confusion will be a struct data type and array data type. Struct always this column dot this column. But if this column is array, then on top of this, you have to use explode or explode outer. Ignoring the nulls, you can use explode. If you don't want the nulls, then use explode. Include the null values also, part of the row. Use explode outer. Explode outer. Explode outer is going to consider the rows. If any one column is having a null, it will consider the rows. Explode means it will remove that row. That will give you huge difference. If you are using explode outer, you see the number of rows here. So this way we can convert semi-structured to structured format. Semi-structured to structured format. So JSON is one of the common for API. API means when you are working with any external systems, if they are sharing the data through API, then you can find the JSON data as a common data for API. So when you are working with any API means any API, maybe a Facebook. So any API, they'll give it JSON format. You see this complex JSON. You see one column, within that another column, within that another 3 more columns. Okay, one column, within that another column, but that is an array. But that array again, it is having multiple columns. The square brackets, you see this is an array. So fields an array. Then each field information, you see this is. Similarly, if you go for any other API, consider Pyspark. Any API sample data, when you look at JSON format. Array columns, you see array, normal columns, again, struct column. This is struct column. This is array column, which it is opening and closing this. Inside that again, struct is there. Struct data type. Array data type. Inside that again, struct data type. Okay, struct data type. Array data type. So any API, when we are getting data from API, so we'll get data in JSON. So this is about the complex JSON files, how to work and how to extract, convert semi-structured to structured format. So use a select expression, use explore outer for array data type, use a dot for a struct data type. Dot means parent column dot child column. So then dot. Then anyway, this call function alias names, giving another proper name here, giving a proper name. Okay. So select is a transformation. We are selecting a column, so then we are applying expressions. So this is about complex JSON. So reading complex JSON and converting into structured format. Okay. Any questions?
Hi Ravi. Yeah, in real time, there is a single line duplicate columns is there. How to proceed in that case? Currently,
So we have to use a schema. We have to use a schema. That schema, it will ignore that. Okay. If you prepare the schema, right? We used a schema here. This one. We have to prepare the schema. That schema will consider only one column. It won't consider two columns. If you're not using a schema, dynamically it will try to create a columns. Okay. When it is trying to create a columns, it's finding two columns, not able to identify which one need to create, right? That's why if you provide the schema, then it won't create any columns from the data file. So it will create a columns from the schema. Same as like CSV. So here also we can use the schema option. So this schema will tell you to read, instead of reading the data JSON file, it will create a columns. Okay.
Okay, Ravi. Thank you.
Ravi, if any source structure changes, right? So do we need to
Then we
use
need
the
to change
parent?
this. Yeah, we need to change this schema. If you are using a schema, okay.
Okay.
If you are using a runtime means if you are not using a schema, whatever the columns you will get, it will create. But if you are using a schema option, whatever schema you specified, it will create those columns on. Any other question? I'll share this Python file. I'll upload in the drive. Maybe you can download and you can import into your workspace. Okay. So you can go to your workspace where you have an import option. So you can import from your computer and select your Python file. So I'll share IPython. IPython is a notebook extension. So we'll use that. So this.
In Databricks, we are using the same thing, no? We are using same thing, right?
Same
Single
IPython
IDE,
only, but there a DBC file it will support. Here a DBC, there's no DBC file concept. Okay. IPython is not only a Databricks, wherever notebook is there. It is not only wherever Jupyter notebook,